The first time I noticed something was wrong. Emily forgot our anniversary. She'd always been the kind of wife who taped handwritten notes to the bathroom mirror or hid chocolate bars in my work bag just because. But that morning, she rushed past me in the hallway, her perfume trailing behind her like a ghost, and didn't even glance at the tulips I'd left on the kitchen counter. Red ones, her favorite. Late for a meeting, she said, her voice clipped, as she shoved her laptop into a tote bag. I stood there, still holding my coffee, staring at the empty vase. "It's June 12th, I said quietly. She froze. For a second, her shoulders tensed like she'd been slapped. Then she turned, her smile too bright, too quick. "Oh my God, Mark. I'm so sorry. Let's do dinner tomorrow, okay? I'll make it up to you." But she didn't kiss me goodbye. Just hurried out the door, her phone already pressed to her ear. I told myself it was nothing. Stress. The promotion she'd been chasing at the marketing firm. The kids' soccer schedules. But later that night, when I rolled over in bed and reached for her, she flinched. "Not tonight," she muttered, pulling the blanket up to her chin. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathing slow into something fake and measured. That's when I heard it. The soft buzz of her phone lighting up on the nightstand. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Just watched the blue glow flicker against the wall until it died. The next morning, I woke up early and made pancakes. The way I used to when the twins were little. Hearts and dinosaurs, chocolate chips melting into smiley faces. Emily shuffled into the kitchen, her hair tangled, wearing one of my old college hoodies. For a split second, everything felt normal. "Smells amazing," she said, pouring coffee. I flipped a pancake. "Thought we could all eat together. Liv and Ben'll be down in—" Her phone rang. She glanced at the screen, and her face went pale. "I have to take this." She disappeared into the backyard, her voice sharp and low behind the glass door. I stood at the sink, scrubbing burnt batter off the pan, until my hands were raw. When the kids finally thundered downstairs, laughing, and shoving each other for syrup, Emily was gone. "Mom said she had an emergency meeting," Liv said, mouth full of pancake. Ben rolled his eyes. "She always has meetings." That night, I did something I'd never done before. I checked her phone. She was in the shower. The bathroom door cracked just enough to let steam curl into the hallway. Her phone sat on the dresser, face down. I picked it up, my pulse roaring in my ears. Password incorrect. I tried the twins' birthdays. Our anniversary, the day we met. Password incorrect. The shower stopped. I set the phone back, hands shaking. 3 days later, Jake came over for poker night. He'd been my best friend since freshman year, when he'd talked me out of jumping off a frat house roof after one too many tequila shots. Now he was grinning at me from across the table, shuffling cards like a Vegas dealer. "You're quiet tonight," he said, dealing me a hand. I forced a laugh. "Just tired. Work's been hell." Emily walked in then, barefoot, her hair still damp from the shower. She'd changed into soft gray sweatpants and that same hoodie. Jake's eyes flicked to her, just for a heartbeat, before he looked back at his cards. "Deal me in?" she asked, pulling up a chair. Jake grinned. "Only if you're ready to lose," she smiled, a real one, the kind that crinkled her eyes. And I felt something cold twist in my chest. Later, when Jake left, Emily lingered at the door, her fingers brushing his arm as she laughed at some joke I hadn't heard. "You two seem close lately," I said, stacking poker chips. She stiffened. "Don't start, Mark." "Start what?" "That tone, like you're accusing me of something." I looked at her, really looked, at the way she crossed her arms, the flush creeping up her neck, the way she wouldn't meet my eyes. "Are you?" I asked quietly. She slammed the fridge door so hard a magnet clattered to the floor. "God, you're paranoid. Maybe if you spent less time snooping through my phone and more time actually talking to me." "I never said I snooped through your phone." The silence was so thick I could taste it. She opened her mouth, closed it, then stormed upstairs without another word. The next day I called in sick to work. I followed her. She left the house at 10 a.m., wearing sunglasses and a navy blazer I'd never seen before. Instead of turning left toward her office, she drove north. I kept 2 cars between us, my hands slick on the wheel. When she pulled into the parking garage of the Westin, a sleek downtown hotel, I almost threw up. I parked across the street, watching the entrance through binoculars like some Lifetime movie psycho. 20 minutes later, Jake walked in. He wasn't wearing his wedding ring. I sat in my car, gripping the steering wheel so hard the leather groaned. Jake's silver Audi was parked 3 rows ahead, gleaming under the garage lights like it knew a secret. My best friend. My wife. The hotel elevator doors swallowed them, whole, and I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. A horn blared behind me. I'd been blocking traffic for 5 minutes. I drove home on autopilot, running red lights, swerving through intersections. The twins were still at school. The house was empty. Silent. I paced the kitchen, my phone burning a hole in my pocket. I could call her, demand answers. But what if she lied? What if she didn't? Instead, I grabbed the spare key to Jake's apartment, the one he'd given me years ago in case of emergencies. His words, not mine. The door creaked open. His place smelled like cedar and expensive cologne. Neater than I'd expected. No dishes in the sink. No photos of his wife, Clara. Just a single framed picture on the bookshelf. Him and me at a baseball game, arms slung over each other's shoulders. I wanted to smash it. I started in the bedroom. The bedsheets were rumpled, still warm. A wine glass sat on the nightstand, lipstick smudged on the rim. Red, Emily's shade. My hands shook as I snapped a photo. Then I saw it, a black lace bra tangled in the sheets. Not Clara's. Clara wore beige. Practical. I pocketed it. In the bathroom, 2 toothbrushes. One of them had a tiny penguin charm glued to the handle. Liv made those in art class last Christmas. Emily's. My knees buckled. I sank to the floor, the bra clutched in my fist, and screamed into the silence. When I got home, Emily's car was in the driveway. She stood at the stove, stirring a pot of spaghetti, humming along to some pop song on the radio. The kids' backpacks were dumped by the stairs. Normal. Happy. Like she hadn't just torn our lives apart. "Where were you today?" I asked, leaning against the doorway. She didn't turn around. "Work. Why?" "Called your office. They said you took a personal day." The wooden spoon clattered against the pot. "I had a doctor's appointment." "Which doctor?" "God, Mark, what's with the interrogation?" She finally faced me, cheeks flushed from the steam. "It was a dermatologist. I had a mole removed. See?" She tugged down the collar of her blouse, revealing a small bandage. I stared at her. The woman who'd slow danced with me in this kitchen on our 10th anniversary. Who'd held my hand through chemo when Jake got diagnosed. Now every word out of her mouth was a landmine. "Funny," I said quietly. "I drove past the Westin Hotel today. Saw Jake's car." Her breath hitched, just for a second. So? So why was he there? How should I know? She turned back to the stove, her voice too steady. "Maybe a client meeting. You should ask him." I stepped closer, close enough to see the pulse fluttering in her neck. "I did. He said he was with you." A lie. I hadn't called him, but her shoulders stiffened. "That's not—" "Don't." My voice cracked. "Just don't." For a long moment, the only sound was the bubbling sauce. Then Liv burst in, soccer cleats tracking mud across the floor. "Mom, can Ashley sleep over Friday?" Emily's smile was instant. Plastic. "We'll see, sweetie." I left the room before I could scream. That night, I drank. Jake's favorite. Bourbon. A bottle he'd gifted me last birthday. "To surviving middle age," he'd joked. Now I gulped it straight from the bottle, the burn doing nothing to numb the static in my head. Emily found me in the garage, sitting in my old Mustang. "The engine off. Get out," I slurred. She climbed into the passenger seat instead. "We need to talk." "Oh, now you want to talk?" "Mark, please." Her hand brushed my arm. I jerked away. "How long?" She hesitated. "It's not what you think." "How long?" The words echoed off the concrete walls. Somewhere in The house. A door opened. "Mom? Dad?" Ben called. Emily closed her eyes. A month. The admission punched through me. A month. 30 days of lies. 30 days of her laughing with him, touching him, while I packed school lunches and signed permission slips. Was it here? I whispered. In our bed? No. Never here. Where then? His apartment? The hotel? The lake? Her head snapped up. You followed me? You left me no choice! You're being crazy. I pulled the bra from my jacket pocket, flung it at her. Crazy enough to find this in his sheets? She stared at it, her face crumbling. Mark, I'm sorry. Sorry? A hysterical laugh bubbled out of me. You're sorry? For what? For fucking my best friend? For turning my kids into a joke? Keep your voice down, she hissed. Or what? You'll run to Jake? She flinched. It just happened. We didn't plan. Bullshit. You planned every lie, every fake meeting, every time you looked me in the eye and said, I love you. Tears streamed down her face. I do love you. Not enough. I stumbled out of the car, the world tilting. Emily followed, grabbing my sleeve. Please, let's fix this. Go to counseling. For the kids. I wrenched free. Don't you dare use them as a shield. Dad? We both froze. Liv stood in the garage doorway, clutching her stuffed rabbit, eyes wide. Why are you yelling? Emily wiped her face quickly. Everything's okay, baby. Go back to bed. But Liv kept staring at me, at the bourbon bottle in my hand. Are you sick again? The question gutted me. 3 years ago, when I'd lost my job, I'd spent weeks drunk on the couch. Liv would bring me water and crackers, her tiny voice asking, Daddy, are you sick? No, sweetheart, I said hoarsely. Just tired. She didn't believe me. I saw it in the way she bit her lip before turning away. I slept on the couch. At 3 a.m., Emily's phone buzzed on the coffee table. I grabbed it before she could. Jake, you okay? My fingers flew across the screen. Emily, he knows. 3 dots danced. Then, Jake, stay calm. We'll handle this. Emily, I'm scared. Jake, I'll take care of you, always. I screenshot the messages, sent them to myself, deleted the trail. Then I texted Jake from my own phone. Me, need to talk. Tomorrow, your office. 9 a.m., he replied instantly. Jake, sure thing, brother. Everything good? I stared at the word brother until the screen went black. I showed up to Jake's office early. His secretary, a young guy with a nose ring and a Be Kind tattoo, smiled too widely when I said I didn't have an appointment. Mr. Carter's in a meeting, but I'll let him know you're here. The waiting room smelled like lemons and lies. I sat stiffly on a leather couch, staring at the abstract art Jake loved to brag about. It's a Rothko-inspired piece, he'd told me once. Cost more than your car. Now all I saw were splatters of red. Jake strode in 20 minutes later, grinning like nothing was wrong. He looked polished, as always. Custom suit, hair gelled, wedding ring back on his finger. Coward. Mark. What's up, man? He clapped me on the shoulder. Want to grab coffee? There's a new place down your office. Now. His smile faltered. Sure. The second the door closed, I slammed the screenshot of his texts with Emily onto his desk. Jake, I'll take care of you. Always. He paled. Look, I can explain. You've got 10 seconds to tell me why I shouldn't forward this to Clara. His wife. Sweet, quiet Clara who'd brought us casseroles when Emily had the flu. Who'd cried at our wedding. Jake sank into his chair, running a hand over his face. It was a mistake, okay? A stupid, drunken bullshit. I leaned over the desk, my shadow swallowing him. You've been sober for 5 years. You think I wanted this? His voice rose. Emily came on to me. Said you two were basically roommates. That you hadn't touched her in months. The words hit like a knife. Had I been distant? I'd been working overtime to cover her emergency meetings, making excuses when she forgot parent-teacher conferences, begging her to just talk to me. You're my best friend, I hissed. You could have told me, could have walked away. And what? He laughed bitterly. Watch her find someone else? At least with me, I kept her safe. Safe from what? He hesitated, opened a drawer, pulled out a manila folder. Inside were photos, Emily and Jake, holding hands at a cafe I'd never seen. Emily leaning into him at a gas station, his arm around her waist. And one that made my blood freeze, Emily in a hospital gown, sitting. On an exam table, Jake's hand on her knee. The date stamped March 14th, 2 days after my birthday. What the hell is this? Jake wouldn't meet my eyes. She got pregnant. The room tilted. What? She didn't tell you because why? Because it wasn't yours. I gripped the edge of the desk to stay upright. Pregnant. A baby. A life. And she'd let me kiss her goodbye that morning, pack her a lunch while she carried his child. She lost it, Jake said quietly. A month ago. That's why she's been off. I thought of the bandage on her collarbone. The dermatologist appointment. The night she'd lock herself in the bathroom, crying. All this time, I'd blamed myself. You both lied, I whispered. Let me think I was going crazy. We were trying to protect you. Fuck you. I grabbed the photos, stormed out. Jake chased me down the hall, his voice sharp. Mark, if you send those to Clara. I turned. Or what? You'll take my wife again? His jaw tightened. You don't want to burn this bridge. You already did. I drove to the lake. Our lake, where Emily and I had scattered my father's ashes. Where I'd proposed. Now I sat on the hood of my car, the photos spread out like a horror show, and screamed until my throat bled. When my phone rang, I almost ignored it. Then I saw the name. Clara. Mark? Her voice was shaky. Jake just called. He said you're upset, that there's some misunderstanding? I closed my eyes. Clara deserved the truth. But the words stuck in my throat. Clara. Listen, Daddy, my blood turned to ice. Liv, baby, why are you on Clara's phone? Mom dropped us here for a play date. She said you were sick again. Her whisper cracked. Are you sick again? Emily's code for don't. Trust Dad. No, sweetheart, I'm okay. Then why does Mom keep crying? I pressed a fist to my mouth. God, what do I say? Grown-up stuff, I managed. I'll pick you up soon, okay? Okay. I love you. The call ended. I threw the phone into the lake. Watched it sink. Emily was waiting when I got home. She stood in the living room, clutching a suitcase. Her eyes were swollen, hair pulled into a messy bun. For a second, she looked like the girl I'd fallen for. Nervous, biting, her lip twisting the hem of her shirt. The kids are at Clara's, she said. We need to talk. I held up the ultrasound photo from Jake's folder. This is what you needed to tell me? She crumpled. I wanted to so many times, but after the miscarriage, how long were you going to hide it? Forever. Her voice broke. It would have destroyed you. You let it destroy us, she flinched. I'm leaving. Just don't take the kids from me. You don't get to ask for anything. Mark, please. I pulled out my trump card. The video, the one I'd recorded weeks ago when I'd planted the keychain camera in Jake's bedroom. The timestamp glowed in the corner. June 19th, 1:14 p.m. Emily's voice filled the room. Do you love her? Jake's laugh. Clara's just comfortable. You're the one I want. Emily watched the screen, her face ashen. You filmed us? I leaned in. Every time, every hotel, every lie. You're sick. No, I said softly. I'm done. I texted the video to Jake. Me, check your inbox. 3 seconds later, his call lit up my phone. I answered. Hello, brother. His voice was a snarl. Delete it, now! Or what? You'll sue me? Clara will see it. Your boss, your dad. Silence. Then, a shaky breath. What do you want? I looked at Emily. At the woman who'd sworn to love. Me in sickness and health. Now trembling like a stranger. Everything, I said. Jake's silence on the other end of the line was thick enough to choke on. I could hear his breath. Shallow, uneven. And the faint tap of his fingers against his desk. a nervous habit he'd had since college. For a moment, I almost pitied him. Almost. "You're bluffing," he said finally, but his voice wavered. I glanced at Emily, still frozen in our living room, her suitcase forgotten at her feet. "Want me to forward the video to Clara right now? Or maybe your dad first? He's still on the board, isn't he? Bet he'd love to see how his golden boy spends his lunch breaks." "Mark." His tone shifted, slick with desperation. "Let's talk about this, man to man. We're way past that. Name your price." I laughed, a cold, hollow sound. "You think this is about money? Isn't it always?" Emily lunged for my phone. "Stop it, both of you. You're acting like animals." I shoved her back, harder than I meant to. She stumbled, catching herself on the couch. The look she gave me, half fury, half fear, seared into my bones. "Stay out of this," I hissed. Jake heard the scuffle. "Is Emily there? Put her on." "No. Put her on!" I hit speakerphone. "Say goodbye to your girlfriend, Jake." Emily's hands flew to her mouth. "Jake, don't listen to me," he interrupted, his voice frantic. "Whatever he's planning, don't let him hurt the kids. I'll fix this, I swear." "Fix what?" she cried. "You said no one would ever find out, and—" "You believed him?" I cut in. "He's been deleting your texts for weeks. Ask him about the burner phone in his gym bag, the one he uses to call his side peace." Jake went deadly quiet. Emily stared at the phone. "What? You didn't think you were his first, did you?" I said. "Check his credit card statements. Motel charges every Thursday. Clara thinks he's at therapy." "You're lying," she whispered. "Am I?" Jake hung up. The house felt like a tomb. Emily sank to the floor, her back against the couch, arms wrapped around herself. I stood. Over her, the video still glowing on my screen, a loop of her and Jake tangled in sheets, her laugh echoing like a ghost. "Why?" I asked. She didn't look up. "You stopped seeing me." "What?" "After the miscarriage scare last year, the real one, with your baby, you shut down. You slept on the couch for months. You didn't even hold me." The memory sucker punched me. She'd begged me to stay with her at the hospital, but I'd been too wrecked by the idea of losing another piece of us. Too scared to hope. "So you ran to Jake?" "He noticed me." Her voice cracked. "He asked how I was. Made me feel wanted. You were just going through the motions, Mark. Like we were roommates, like I was already gone." I wanted to argue, to scream that she'd given up first, but the truth slithered through me. Had I? My phone buzzed. "Clara. Clara. We need to talk. Now." I found her sitting on Jake's pristine white sofa, a glass of wine in hand, her face puffy from crying. The apartment reeked of bleach, like he'd scrubbed away every trace of Emily. "He's filing for divorce," she said flatly. I sat across from her, the photo of Emily's ultrasound burning in my pocket. "I'm sorry, Clara." "Don't." She drained her glass. "I knew about the others. Just not her. The others. Plural." "Why stay?" She shrugged. "The prenup. The kids. The life." Her laugh was bitter. "Same reasons anyone stays." I slid the ultrasound photo onto the coffee table. She glanced at it, then recoiled like it was on fire. "Emily was pregnant," I said. Clara's face twisted. "And you think that's his?" He admitted it. "Jake had a vasectomy after our second child." The room tilted. "What?" 5 years ago. He didn't want more kids." She traced the rim of her glass. "So unless your wife cheated with a miracle worker." The dates clicked. March 14th. The hospital photo. Emily's miscarriage. It wasn't Jake's baby. I broke every speed. Limit driving home. Emily was in the kitchen, scrubbing counters that didn't need cleaning. She turned, her smile tentative, but it died when she saw my face. Who was the father? Her sponge hit the sink. "What?" "The baby. It wasn't Jake's. He's sterile." Color drained from her cheeks. "That's not who was. He." She backed against the fridge. "Mark, please." I slammed my fist on the counter. "Was there someone else?" The confession spilled out in a sob. A coworker. A one-night stand after a conference. A mistake she'd buried with lies. Jake found out. she whispered. He blackmailed me. Said he'd tell you unless you slept with him. She nodded, tears streaming. I thought if I gave him what he wanted, he'd keep quiet. Then I got pregnant and he panicked. Made me get rid of it. Said he'd ruin you if I didn't. My knees gave out. I slid to the floor, the tiles cold against my palms. All this time, I'd painted Jake as the villain. But he was just another pawn in her game. Why? I rasped. She knelt beside me, her hand hovering over mine. I was lonely. I was angry. You weren't there and I wanted you to hurt like I did. I pulled away. Congratulations, now we both get to. That night, I packed a bag. Emily watched from the doorway, silent, as I shoved clothes into a duffel. The kids were still at Clara's. I couldn't face them yet. Where will you go? She asked. Motel. Maybe Jake's couch. A hollow laugh. He's got a great view, she flinched. Don't leave. We can still fix this. There's nothing left to fix. I zipped the bag, but she blocked the door. Move, Emily. No. Her eyes blazed. You don't get to walk out like some martyr. You think you're innocent? You let us fall apart. You stopped fighting. So that justifies cheating, lying? No, but it makes you just as guilty. I stared at her, this stranger I'd loved for 15 years, and saw the girl who'd worn my varsity jacket, who'd whispered forever against my lips. I'm done, I said. She crumpled. Please, I'll do anything. I stepped around her. Should have thought of that before. The motel was a dump. Peeling wallpaper, stained carpets, the hum of traffic through thin walls. I lay on the scratchy bed, scrolling through photos. Of the kids. Liv's missing front tooth. Ben's science fair trophy. Emily's smile in the background, bright and warm. How do I tell them? My phone buzzed. An unknown number. Unknown. Check your email. I opened the link. A video. Grainy. Dark. Me. Sitting in my car outside Jake's apartment. Me. Picking the lock. Me. Stealing the bra. Shit. Jake's text followed. Unknown. Blackmail's a felony, brother. Drop this, or the cops see it next. I threw the phone against the wall. It shattered, just like us. The motel's air conditioning rattled like a dying animal. I stared at the cracked phone screen, Jake's threat still glaring in the dim light. Blackmail's a felony. He'd filmed me breaking into his apartment. Of course he had. Jake always covered his tracks, taught me that himself. I called Clara. She answered on the first ring. Did you know? Know what? That Jake's been recording people, women, in hotel rooms. My blood turned to ice. What are you talking about? I found a hard drive, she said, voice trembling. Hidden in his office. There's footage. Dozens of women. Emily! The room spun. I gripped the edge of the bed. Send it to me. No, I'm burning it. Clara, wait. He'll kill me if he finds out. A pause. Or worse, take the kids. The line went dead. I drove. To Jake's apartment. He opened the door in sweatpants, reeking of bourbon. Here to apologize? I shoved past him. Where's the hard drive? What hard drive? The one with the videos. Of Emily. Of all of them. His smirk faded. Clara. You're done, Jake. He lunged for me. We crashed into the bookshelf, framed photos shattering. I landed a punch to his ribs, but he kneed me in the gut. Pain exploded. I grabbed the closest weapon, a stupid marble bookend, and swung. He dropped. Blood pooled on the polished floor. What would you do if betrayal came from the two people you trusted most? Could you walk away, or would you burn it all down? Let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching to the end. If you survived the twists, check out my other videos on family secrets you won't believe. And remember, not all monsters hide in the dark. Some smile to your face.